The ongoing conflict with Karen and the HOA reached yet another dramatic chapter when they dialed emergency because I declined to depart from my dock building, completely unaware that I controlled the entire district. This was not just a dispute over property. It was a fundamental misjudgment of authority, a mistake that would once again expose Karen's lack of foresight and the HOA's repeated incompetence. The morning was calm, with sunlight glinting off the water of the dock and birds quietly circling overhead. I was performing routine maintenance, checking structural integrity, and preparing supplies for the upcoming agricultural season. The dock building, a critical structure for managing farm operations and water access, was fully under my control. Yet Karen arrived, as expected, with an entourage of HOA representatives and a misplaced sense of authority. She insisted that I vacate the building immediately, citing HOA rules and local ordinances she believed applied to the structure. Karen, confident in her position, dialed emergency in anticipation that law enforcement would enforce her demands. Officers arrived quickly, expecting a standard property dispute. They were immediately confronted, however, with a situation entirely outside their usual scope. I calmly explained that not only was the dock building fully under my ownership, but I also exercised authority across the entire district. Every property, every waterway, and every operational asset fell under my jurisdiction. The officers, recognizing both the legality and practicality of my control, immediately understood that intervention on Karen's behalf would be improper. Karen, growing visibly frustrated, attempted to escalate verbally, insisting that her calls must be answered and that my presence was unauthorized. She gestured toward the building, attempting to assert dominance, but each argument she made was systematically countered. I demonstrated ownership through legal documents, detailed property maps, and an explanation of operational oversight that encompassed the dock, surrounding lands, and infrastructure systems. Every attempt she made to challenge me highlighted her ignorance and the futility of her assumptions. The situation became a public display of authority. Local staff, neighbors, and even community observers began to witness the stark contrast. Karen, frantic, impatient, and increasingly desperate, versus the calm, precise, and legally grounded control I exercised. Access points were subtly adjusted, gates secured, and surveillance strategically positioned to ensure that any further interference would be immediately detected and countered. The dock building, previously the focus of Karen's assumed authority, now symbolized the undeniable reality of power exercised with preparation and law. As the hours progressed, Karen's repeated attempts to escalate, through calls, gestures, and attempts to rally her HOA supporters, were systematically neutralized. Every action she took was met with careful observation, subtle reinforcement of boundaries, and demonstration of the full scope of my jurisdiction. Her entitlement and misjudgment were laid bare, while my calm and methodical approach reinforced a clear lesson. Intrusion and assertion of authority without understanding are doomed to failure. To ensure the lesson endured, I implemented additional measures. Surveillance around the dock and district boundaries was enhanced, gates were fortified, and operational channels were adjusted to maintain full control. Any future attempts to challenge authority in this area would immediately encounter resistance, not through aggression, but through the unmistakable clarity of lawful and strategic power. By evening, the dock building remained secure, the water calm, and the district fully under my control. Karen had retreated, humiliated and frustrated, her repeated calls to emergency ignored in terms of results, and her perceived authority utterly undermined. Observers noted a clear pattern: repeated interference without knowledge, preparation, or lawful authority results not only in failure but also in public exposure of one's incompetence. This incident reinforced a central truth in the district. Authority cannot be assumed or imposed through emergency calls or entitlement. It is exercised through preparation, lawful power, and strategic foresight. Karen's repeated intrusions had once again been neutralized, leaving her exposed, frustrated, and publicly humiliated. The dock building, calm and secure under my oversight, became a symbol of unassailable authority and the consequences of misjudging power. By nightfall, the district was quiet, the waters around the dock reflecting the setting sun. Karen's arrogance, coupled with the HOA's miscalculations, had once again resulted in failure. The lesson was unmistakable. Intrusion, entitlement, and ignorance are met with consequences that are strategic, lawful, and unavoidable. Authority, properly exercised, cannot be challenged through assumption alone.